go. This is looking so good. And the benefit of not using any glue at all is that there is no glue that I forgot to sand away. That's gonna inhibit the paint to soak into the wood. It's really nice not having to paint the inside. Of course, I could have just taken everything apart and painted the parts, but as I said previously, it's better to have a lot brighter inside so that it's easier to work with. That's also the plan for today. I'm gonna get some more parts that are intended to go on the inside. That's gonna be nice. What parts do you say? Well, it's a few bits and bobs. Some may be a bit more aesthetical, but of course one thing is directly linked to the polyphonic capabilities. And of course it's relatively cheap parts, but they have got me thinking twice about is this the right way to go, but this has never been a project for thinking too much. Now that being said, yesterday I went to the hardware store to look at the aluminium grating I want to use here, here and here. And holy crap, that was expensive. So I'm back at actually using plywood. Now that ain't cheap either. And my suppliers of these nice plywood are out. And of course, you get coarser, more construction-like plywood, but it doesn't really paint as well, so that's what I'm waiting for now. So that was the plan, to actually make these today, but I just ended up having to design them tonight and then wait for the supplier to get some more materials in. That's nice, I still have some time. Oh, it's annoying painting inside here, but still needs to be done. Alright, what if I do that now? Then I flip it back up again. Huh? That's not the dumbest idea you had today. Nice. So this is the most annoying part to paint, and there is a bit of spray, but it's gonna be covered up on the inside, so who cares about that? Well, not me. Of course, I'm pretty sure that this paint is so thin that I could use a aerosol gun. Since it's winter and -degrees outside, that would be a catastrophe. And I can't wait all the way for 2 hot summer days to actually do this, so a brush it is. there's always the question, do I bother with a second coat? I think I'll complete it to that point where I'm gonna put in the grills. Then of course I can put a second layer on, because I'm gonna wait with that to the very, very end. Okay. Crap. This is not. And on this upper side, nobody is gonna look there because of the angle, so I don't know why I even bother, but still. I think we call that a success. And we paint this one so that we can reuse whatever drips down on the inner plate. The trick when making these videos is to talk without having a common thread, because if I then choose to cut this down to a not as lengthy video, I don't want to be rambling on about something that you need to have followed along to get any understanding of. And of course there's going to be a speaker behind here, and my question is, should there be like a cloth or something covering the entire back plate? Then I wouldn't have to paint it, of course, but 2 rows of recorders cover up the back plate. On the original ones you didn't actually see the back plate, so it wouldn't really have mattered. And of course, if I know today, or no, if I knew then what I know today, this lip would have been 10 millimeters deeper, because then I could have a strip of LED lights behind the recorders. That would be awfully cool. Well, you live and you learn. There might be a third iteration somewhere. Hopefully not. That would have been really... Well, I'm aiming for this to be the last one, to say the least. Of course, I'm not going to spoil too much details, but building this, and of course working on the electronics, I have stumbled over some other instruments that would be nice to combine. And one of the ideas I have has, well, at a certain degree been done before, so I just have a different aesthetical take on it, so to speak. Alright, why don't you flow in there? Oh, come on! I want to spend too much. Alright, that's way too much there. Alright, and there's this one. Then again, at some point I thought, should it be red? Given my history with the color red, but no, I really like this black color. It really makes everything pop, and that creamy color of the plywood together with the creamy color of the recorders. It's amazing. course, taking a bit of inspiration from Marshall amps, I have an idea for a logo as well. But that is for another video. Alright, let's flip it back up again. And of course I forgot that the top plate is actually loose, so that hasn't fallen to the floor already is close to a miracle. Alright, we need a bit more paint. Running a bit low, but it should be enough. Of course, cutting down the side plate, you can actually see the groove from the old screws, and the question is, how do you cover those up? I could use some sort of putty, but I'm thinking I'd make some kind of features to put on here, but I can't really decide what yet. And then again, it's gonna get that rough used to look quite early, I think, or quite rapidly. I did actually think about using the technique that they use on a lot of amplifiers, where they stretch fake leather over it. But then again, it's too much work, I think. Now, here I'm just using my standard wood screws, and of course painting them doesn't really give that good effect, not with this paint. So I have been thinking getting new ones, but with a head with Umbraco or something like that, and maybe a more flat head that will be sitting on the outside of the material. But my local hardware store don't have those kinds of screws. I need to order them, so I'm gonna do that at the very end as well, when I know what kind of length screws I need. I try to keep at one type, but somewhere you need a smaller one. Alright, should I paint the back edge but not the inside? Oh, that's alright. I'll leave that for last, just in case I run low on paint. This dries extremely quickly. I mean, it dries up really, and then it soaks in, and then it dries up really fast. So concentrate on the large surfaces first, and then we'll see. I have also been sanding and working on my knives, working on my knife for the knife along. And then, of course, it's very dry climate in my workshop today, so I can actually feel my lips cracking up already. That's nice. Alright, let's do the other short side. Touch up needed. Alright, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let it dry properly before you start touching things up. So the question I keep asking myself is, why am I doing this? It's a lot of time spent on making a recorder-based amplifier. And of course, an insane person would say that I could have spent that time on a lot of different things, but then again, what is your time? Other than the constant pursuit of happiness, that is. Well, the question is, does it make you happy? Yes. Does it make you laugh? Hell yeah. And that's all the answer that you need, actually. As long as it doesn't interfere with something else. But then it's like anything, it's a priority. I just realized, is this a Bob Ross video? Putting in some happy trees. Alright, if you want a lake here, you can just add a lake. I saw someone today actually being called the Bob Ross of programming or something like that, and of course, being called Bob Ross of anything, that's a big check mark in my book. And if you don't know who Bob Ross is, that is, of course, your loss. Fuck, now I'm touching up the front again. Alright, I said I wouldn't do that, but okay. I have now actually done the entire front. And the sides and the top. That means that I'm actually finished with the first coat. Which means I have paint left. I have lots of paint left, so let's do the rear side as well. The wood swell a little bit when you put this paint on, which makes it even tighter. I mean, this top plate, you really have to force it to get it out, which is nice. I like that. Very much like that. Alright, let's touch up the back side here. I'm still on the fence if the knobs and buttons should be on the front side as on the original, or if I should recess a hole on the top where all the connections are there. They're easily accessible, they're easier to connect up to here, and of course it depends on where I place the amplifier module for that speaker, because I'm not gonna make anything custom made, I'm not gonna buy anything fancy. So I'm probably gonna find an old guitar amplifier and take that apart for next to nothing on online marketplace somewhere. So I just need to find something with the right form factor that can fit into here. And of course I might need to extend some of the pot meters. And then of course mounting it on top is maybe the easiest solution. And of course, if I thought ahead, I could get that amplifier, so then I could actually know what the distance here would be, because then I could just smack it in there. But then again, I can't make a recess here for anything hanging down. The circuit boards are often really narrow, so it's the transformer who is really large and sticks down. And we can make that work. And of course, excuse me when I make these rambling videos. I don't do several takes, so when I mispronounce words, I'm just leaving that in. But of course you're smart people, so you know what I mean. And if you don't, well, that might not be a loss. Oh, this is looking good. Blackened plywood. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that now, can you? Oh, this is nice. Now, of course, at some point tonight I'm gonna sneak down into the workshop and do the second layer of paint, because you get a few flat spots when this really gets pulled into the wood, especially on the open-ended grain side. I don't know if you can call it the grain side on plywood, but I got more than enough paint for that. So there you have it. You've actually painted the first layer. And without spending an hour. So this is going to be a shorter video. You're welcome. But there's one thing I want to discuss with you. And that is... Of course, plywood is the cheaper alternative, and I can get the pattern that I want, but I have really fallen in love with this, and look at the contrast there. Now this is brilliant. Of course, I just have bits of this. I need to get at least 2 full sheets. Now, of course, one sheet will cover the upper and the lower part, or lower and upper. And then, of course, this one will take the good 1/3 of that second plate. But then I will have some materials left. Now, of course, I could make the plywood and drill a lot of holes like this. I mean, of course, my CNC is gonna hate me, because that's gonna take the better part of a day. I can paint that gray. And of course, this is just 1 millimeter thick, and the slots here are 4 millimeters, so I need to make some 3 millimeter shims that go all the way around. So yeah. It's hard. Then again, you spent a lot of money on it already, so why stop there? I mean, it's too late to start thinking now, isn't it? Alright. I think that was enough for today. Time for a cup of coffee.